All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the City Guys podcast, and welcome back to another episode of the City Guys podcast. Today, we're going to be recapping last match week's game against the Portland Timbers, and then we got a little bit of transfer news, a new player acquisition, and we're also going to touch on some potential rumors and potential departures and everything in the sort as we get ready for this transfer window. So, Faroon, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, what our first win in almost about a month, a little bit over a month.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what was that? San Jose, I think. But I mean, what we had here was a Sunday fun day. I mean, 2-1 win versus Portland at home. I mean, Fletcher, you were at this game. What were your thoughts?
hmm Yeah, I mean, overall, I think this was one of the best games we've played all season. I think we were by far the better team throughout this game. I think the scoreline actually made it seem closer than it really was, but I think this was such a complete performance from City. Um, I don't know. It was kind of surprising. I didn't really have too much optimism going into this game, as Portland's a really good side. We lost a pretty heartbreaking game against them a few weeks ago, and we've just been completely awful recently. So to come in and get a win at home against a really good team is huge for City right now. And to do it in this fashion where they went up against so much adversity throughout this game, even though they created a ton of chances and were overall the better team, they got unlucky with that first goal that Portland scored, and they had to come back from down 1-0 and take the game back, which is something we really haven't seen from City at all this year. I mean, City's just been awful responding to adversity, it seems like. So this to me was pretty a pretty big deal. I'm very
Yeah.
happy with this result.
Yeah, I mean, going into this game, looking at St. Louis City, how we lined up, we had a 4-2-3-1. So, I mean, I think in that first half, City were pretty strong. I mean, I watched the first half. I mean, we were pretty good in the first half, other than like the two,
Hmm.
like really good sequences that Portland had, which one of them ended up being a goal. I mean, that just kind of exploited our weakness of running the 4-2-3-1, kind of with that space that Toland kind of gives up in the middle, because you
Hmm.
don't really have, I don't know, the kind of like the sixes don't have enough space in between where Toland plays, so Portland kind of just took advantage of that and they scored. Um, but I mean, you really have to credit the team here. I mean, the second half, I mean, City were phenomenal. I mean, standout performance from Marcel Hartel. I mean, that first goal that he scored, I think it was the first goal. It was like kind of like the banger
Hmm.
top bins. It was a pretty good goal. I mean, I do really want to talk about Thomas Ostrak. I thought he had a phenomenal game as well. Very,
Hmm.
very key player on this team. Um, what are your thoughts about that second half? Personally, I thought it was a great half.
Yeah, I mean, that second half was phenomenal. Something we're not used to seeing, really. We're definitely usually a first half team. It's usually the second half where we fall off. So that was huge for me. I was really excited to see that. I think that's something that's really positive and could be taken to the future. And yeah, I think, like you said, obviously Marcel Hartel with the brace in this game, he's by far the man of the match. I think, in my opinion, he's by far City's best player, even though he's struggled a bit at times this season. He's just, you could tell that his awareness and his brain and the way he's thinking is just so much more advanced than any other player on the pitch. And he, to me, is one of the keystone players that I think City should be desperately trying to keep around and trying to build off of for the future. And I think games like this proves it. I mean, he pretty much single-handedly won this game for City with a couple other key performances. Like you said, Tomas Ostrak had his best game of the season. He looked amazing in that midfield, creating chances. Him and Leuven, the link-up play there was really phenomenal throughout this game. And then also the left back, who we're probably
Ostrak.
gonna yeah, we're probably going to
Yeah.
spend a little bit of time talking about, but Orozco, this is second game,
Yeah, since
I believe, with
yeah.
City. Yeah, so him starting at left back, filling in for Jaden Reed, and he kind of came out of nowhere and has put in two really solid shifts and two really solid performances here. I really liked the way he was playing. He played with a ton of energy. He, was putting his body on the line to make plays. He got the crowd into the game at times, which I always appreciate, especially when you're on a team like City, who is having such a terrible season. Morale is probably really low. He's a kid that came in. He's trying to win a spot with the team, and he's putting everything he has into leaving it all on the pitch, which is really appreciated because that's kind of what you need. You need players to really drive the energy for this team when you're a really shitty team like St. Louis City is this year. Um, and I think Orozco has done that these last 2 weeks. He's in my opinion been one of the, even though he's only played 2 games, he's kind of one of the highlights of the season. I feel like to
Yeah.
have a guy come up through the academy. I guess he's actually from Real Salt Lake's academy, and City just picked him up. So big get for City there. We'll
Yeah.
see. Very small sample size, but I think he definitely has the potential to fight for that starting left back spot going forward.
I completely agree. I mean, this game, I know you mentioned Lewin coming back. I mean, what is that? A very emotional return. I mean, Lewin's been in and
Mhm.
out with the team all season. Even last season, I mean, he was dealing with stuff off the field, on the field. Um, but yeah, Lewin coming back. I mean, it really shows how
Mhm.
dynamic of a playmaker Lewin is. I mean, he
Mhm.
is. This game, I thought I did watch how much did he play? Maybe like 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
not too much, but he played very well. I mean, he also helped get that second goal that Hartel scored. I mean, it was Ostrak and him that kind of set that up. But yeah, I really loved what I saw from Lewin. I mean, going back, it kind of shows why he's one of, if not one of the most influential players on this entire team. I mean, going back 2 years ago when he was literally probably one of our best players along with Berkey. Um, but yeah, Leuven is back. Nothing. I mean, it only goes up from here. I mean, talking about some more players that will be coming back this week. In our upcoming game versus Dallas, we have Timo Baumgartel possibly returning, and Chris Durkin. So we're getting two pretty big players back. I mean, Durkin would be one of our starting sixes, and then Baumgartel will probably
Mhm.
slide right into the defense. With our makeshift back line that we're usually running these weeks.
Mhm.
I also
Mhm.
want to talk about how Yarrow. I thought Yarrow had a pretty good game. I thought he had a pretty solid
Mhm.
game. He hasn't been the most convincing out of all the center backs this year, but this game I thought he had a pretty good game on the ball and off the ball, attack and defense. I thought he played pretty well. And then, yeah, going back to Roscoe, we're going to talk about him a little bit later, so I won't really talk too much about him. But yeah, he has impressed in his 2 games that he has played. I really like what I'm seeing. And yeah, it gives Jaden Reed some good competition, I guess, for that left back spot. So,
Mhm.
um, I don't know. Yeah, also another thing I want to bring up, St. Louis City had a whopping 43 touches in the box this game, which is a season high. That is actually crazy. And 10 of those being uh, Teuscher, which is actually crazy because I didn't really think.
Yeah.
I mean, Teuscher
Yeah.
didn't have a stinker, but he had a pretty good game. I thought he had actually like a, he wasn't like, he wasn't on the scoring charts, of course, but I thought Teuscher
Mhm.
had a pretty good game off the ball. I mean, and then as well on the ball, 10 touches in the box is crazy. I also thought Klaus played pretty well. I think he had the first assist, maybe. He had one of the assists on five.
Uh, I think you had the first one
Yeah. Um, I'm not sure, but yeah.
because I think the second one was Ostrak.
Yeah, 54th minute assist by Klaus. So yeah, Klaus. Klaus I thought had a pretty good game. I like the hold up play that he had, but I mean, other than
Mhm.
that, very solid performance from St. Louis City. I mean, nothing to complain about here.
Yeah. I don't know. One guy that just crossed my head too was Simon Becker, who was kind of a late sub into this game. Kind of surprisingly, because City were kind of trying to park the bus at the end of this game and kill this game off, and they brought on Simon Becker, who's kind of infamously known for not being a good defender, and we give him a lot of goals when he's on the pitch, but he actually came in and put in a really good shift. I mean, he basically by himself killed this game off. he was able to basically take the ball down to the corner flag and keep it there, which basically ended the game. So I thought he actually made a really, really good appearance when he came on.
Yeah,
One of his probably best substitute appearances all season, even though he didn't really, do too much on the score sheet or really make any crazy flashy plays. But he was super impactful when he came on and helping kill that game off. So just wanted to mention him, give him his flowers real quick. And then, like you
yeah,
said, Toy Shirt. Yeah, I mean, he had two really good opportunities in the first half of this game that he probably should have scored on both of them. And I feel like that's kind of been the story of his season. He's had really good opportunities this year. It's just his finishing hasn't been great. He's been pretty unlucky, which is kind of unfortunate because you could definitely tell that it's kind of getting to him a little bit. I remember when he got subbed off. He might have got subbed off for Leuven. Um, but he got
um,
subbed off pretty early in the second half,
Akil
if I can remember
Watts
correctly.
in the
Akil Watts, okay.
82nd actually. Late.
Oh, okay. So that was actually late in the game. But I remember him being very visibly upset when he got subbed off because he was really good this game. He was really good on the ball. Portland's defense really just had no answers for him, but he just could not find the back of the net,
Yeah,
unfortunately, which, with him, he was really good at the end of last season, has kind of been ghosting all of this year, it feels like. He's a guy that I kind of potentially, I mean, we can get into this later, but he's a guy that I kind of put on the potentially could be on the way out board. Just because I feel like he hasn't really contributed a ton for what he's being paid. And, he's a talented player. He has options. And I don't know if City will necessarily want to keep him around if he's not producing. But I still feel like this was one of his better performances this year,
yeah,
even though he didn't end up on the score sheet.
I completely agree. Another player I wanted to mention, I thought Pompeu had a pretty good game. I mean, as
Hmm.
usual, he's pretty. Pompeu really just brings out that flair. Takes on players one on one, and you really like to see it.
Hmm.
I mean, Pompeu, he's always a threat on the St. Louis City team. But he left the game and he was spotted with a sling.
Yeah.
But apparently, I think it was yesterday I saw he is out of the sling. So in
Hmm.
training, so he should be back. He should be healthy for this upcoming game versus Dallas. We'll have to kind of monitor that situation, but Pompeu probably will be fit to play against Dallas. And then yeah, I just want to talk about Portland here. I mean, not their best showing. I mean, they're currently what, fourth in the? Oh, they dropped. They were fourth going into this game, but now they're in sixth. So it is kind of a worse Portland team than what we played a couple weeks ago. They didn't
Hmm.
have Anthony, of course, who completely cooked us when we played in Portland. Um, yeah, he was out with an injury, so I think he's out until late July, so probably either next week or something he'll be back. But yeah, no Anthony, but we took complete advantage of that. Anthony really, really caused us a lot of problems a couple weeks ago when he played in Portland. And I think was that a draw or I think we lost.
It
We
was a
lost. It was
loss.
a loss,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, 2-1, I think. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, props to what St. Louis City did. We took complete advantage of the situation here. Portland came in pretty weak, and we completely put this
Hmm.
game to bed. But I don't know. What else did you have? Did you have anything else to add about this game?
Just to briefly talk about Celio, I believe his injury was a dislocated shoulder, which it wasn't anything super serious,
Yeah,
so that's good to see from him. And I also thought it was interesting from this game that I feel like Portland, they obviously we played them pretty recently, and obviously Celio kind of cooked them in that game a little bit because they definitely adjusted their scheme because every time Celio got the ball, there was always two guys on him. They wouldn't give him any space to dribble or to try and take guys on. It was pretty clear that they just weren't going to let Celio beat them this game. That was kind of the game plan. They wanted the ball away from Celio and into somebody else and try and have somebody else beat him. And that I feel like Ostrak was really that guy that kind of stepped up. And
yeah,
because they gave they were leaving a lot of space for guys like Ostrak and Hartel and even Toy Shirt to create chances because they were really closing down on Celio. It felt like so he didn't really necessarily have a like a noticeably great game, but his impact I think was kind of indirect as he kind of took on a lot of the Portland pressure and kind of indirectly created a lot of chances. So I still think he's one of the more valuable players
I
on this
mean,
team just for that simple fact.
yeah.
But anyway,
Um,
you want to get into this transfer news here?
yeah, so I mean, the biggest one here is St. Louis City does have a new signing. So we are getting 21-year-old Senegalese center back Falou Fall from
Mm-hmm.
Frederickstadt. He is a 6'4" left-footed center back. He's played 10 matches at Frederickstadt in 2025, and he scored 1 goal. I mean, he's a defender. You don't really expect him to score a lot of goals, but he was rated as number 11th as an all-rounded center back among all the U21 um,
Mm-hmm.
globally, and he has a 79.2% pass completion rate, which is seventh best out of all of the U21 CBs in the world. So he kind of like a player description. He's a big guy. He dominates the game. He dominates both boxes. He has a dominating presence on corner kicks, on set pieces. He can kind of come in. But he is also a very intelligent fouler. He knows how to make those very, very safe tactical fouls, but the biggest thing I think that he will bring to this game is he's a very progressive passer. I don't know, like, have you noticed? I don't know, a player to kind of compare him with is kind of Dean Howson at Real Madrid now. If you watch the Club World Cup that kind of came in this sidetrack, but Dean Howson is kind of one of those center backs who kind of moves forward with the ball, big, tall, looming center back. But he has very, very good passing. This is kind of what you're expecting from Falou Fall here. He's also a very good tackler, 80% success rate on tackles. And then he has 0 errors leading to a goal and 0 errors leading to a shot this season. So, I mean, this guy is a beast from what we're seeing from what he played at Frederickstadt. So, what are your thoughts about the signing, Fletcher? I mean, this is a huge signing for us. This is a guy for the future. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean this. We've kind of talked about recently that City was really looking at defenders, specifically center backs. Um, and this is, a guy that fits that profile that we were talking about, a young player who has a ton of potential and, can kind of maybe slide into one of those center back rules, which kind of feel pretty open right now. So yeah, I really, really like this signing. He was pretty expensive for MLS standards, so it is a little bit of a risk if he doesn't pan out, but I like City kind of taking a big swing here, and I we'll have to see, obviously, but I have a lot of faith in this signing. I actually think this is one of the better moves that City's ever made. Um, because if this, works out and this guy hits his potential, then this is just an outstanding signing for him. Because from what I'm not super familiar with the guy, but from what I've kind of read up on him, this is a guy that is potentially seen as like a real like European player in the
Yeah.
future. And this is probably just kind of a stopgap for him in his career, which is fine. But if we can get 2 or 3 really good years out of him and then sell him on to a bigger team later on and make a profit on him, that's huge from City. So I really like this signing. I think it's if I had to give it a grade, I'd probably give it like a B plus
Yeah.
because there is a little bit of a
Yeah.
risk here with how expensive it was, but I really like the upside, and I think this is a guy that can have an immediate impact and has a ton of value for the future.
Yeah. His first game will be, I think, the home game versus Minnesota on the 29th. I think it's something like that, 29, 26, something like that. But yeah, he's on contract through 2028 with an option for 2029. So, and I think he might be St. Louis City's most expensive transfer. Might be. It's like over 3
I
million.
Yeah,
It's
I was
something
trying to
crazy.
find. I saw. People saying it was the second most expensive, but I couldn't find what the most expensive was.
I, I'm not sure, but
Um,
yeah, very expensive signing from City, but this guy
mhm,
could be an amazing player for us. And I mean, Fletcher, as you said, this guy has potential to go to Europe. So if you get a couple good years out of him, sell him to Europe. Yeah, we're gonna get a pretty good chunk of cheese for them. Um, and then I also just wanted to mention some players that we don't really know if they're coming, but they're very heavily linked with St. Louis City. So these could
mhm,
be potential signings in the upcoming week, probably. So we're preparing to acquire two players from Minnesota United, Sang Bin Jeong and Devin Paddleford. Um, so Jeong is a 23-year-old South Korean right winger. And then Paddleford is supposed to be coming on loan here from Minnesota, and he's a left back and a center back. So I think City is just trying to add a little bit more depth to that left back spot. And I mean, center backs we're also kind of going down to our reserves. So yeah, this guy can play multiple different positions at least. But the biggest thing is that they just don't fit at Minnesota's system, so they're trying to find options for these two players to kind of get out. Jong will be a St. Louis
mhm.
City player, permanent player, and Paddleford will be sent on loan for the rest of the season. So it is very interesting to see how these players might fit in. I think that Sang Bin Jiang, from what I've seen in the MLS, I think he's been a pretty good player. I don't really know too much about him, but I do know that St. Louis
Mhm.
City does need a right winger. I mean, we don't really have an actual right winger. We kind of just play whoever we have. Kind of Toysher kind of fills in. Connor Valum kind of fills in.
Mhm.
Um, Jean De Silva kind of fills in on the right wing role. So it would be nice to have an actual right winger who can consistently play. So I mean, he also has recently acquired a green card, so he won't occupy an international roster spot, which is huge for us. So I mean, I think this is a pretty decent signing from City. I mean, this is a guy who he doesn't really fit at the system that Minnesota currently plays. So I think he would
Mhm.
probably fit much better at St. Louis City. So I really did like this. And then Paddleford, I mean, it is a loan, so if we don't really get too much from him, it's fine because we can send him back, or
Mhm.
he will be going back. So I mean, I think these are two pretty decent signings to just bolster the roster.
Yeah. Like you said, Paddleford, I don't know too much about him. Um, but as a lone player, it's kind of weird. Because I feel like we like center back and left back are kind of positions we need, but we also do have a lot of players, especially with a new center back signing that are kind of fighting for those positions right now. So that one's kind of weird in my opinion. But it is a loan. If he comes here and he's really good, then maybe we can extend him and he could be part of the future. But I kind of doubt it. I feel like kind of a weird signing. I don't know, but that right winger, Ben John, he I remember he played a little bit against City earlier this year, and from what I have seen from him, he's a very kind of raw player, super quick, pretty athletic, but is very raw. Um, so I think he obviously has a lot of potential, but he's also kind of a prospect in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think right wing is a position need. Obviously, with Rasmus Alm, he's on long term IR, and he probably won't play for City ever again because I think his contract's up at the end of this year, and I doubt they re-sign him. So we've never really filled our right winger void that Alm left. So getting an actual right winger to play on that side instead of having like Toyshirt or Becker or whoever play out there, I think would actually be huge. So I think this is a really, really good opportunity for both City and the player because with where we're at in the season, we don't really have much to lose at this point. We can kind of experiment and mess around with the lineups. So he's going to get plenty of playing time, and we'll see what he can do with this
yeah,
lineup. But I'm very excited for him. I think it's a very low risk, high reward type of signing. So yeah.
yeah. I completely agree. I mean, Jiang is he's also very good at tracking back. which completely kind of fits that Chris ball where we're kind of relying on having a kind of a press, So
Mhm.
and he can most likely he'll be able to link up with Toland pretty well, which is
Mhm.
something that
Mhm.
Betcher or Toysher don't really have with Toland, kind of since they're not traditional right wingers. But the biggest thing I
Yeah.
do think that is that he does provide that defensive security that we really need on that right wing. But I'm really excited to see both these players come in, plus Falou Falls, who's that's a pretty solid transfer window. I do expect St. Louis City to either get maybe one or two more players, and then as well as some departures. In addition to all this, I do think that a possible departure could be Nielsen. Nielsen is a very
Mhm.
possible departure. I'm not sure. Is Blom still part of the team? I don't really
I don't
know where that brother is. Kind of just
I don't
disappeared.
think so. I
Okay.
feel like he might still be, like, under contract, but I don't think he's, like, with the team or anything, and
Yeah.
I don't think they have, like, any
It,
intention of ever playing him again.
yeah, yeah, so if Blom is not on, if Blom is still a St. Louis City player, I think he's out. Nielsen has a chance of leaving, and then as you said, Rasmus Alm is probably on his way out at the end of the season. So we are making a lot more room for new players to kind of come in, and I really do think that Jiang and Falou Falls are going to be two pretty good additions to this team. Um, and then let's move on. We talked about this earlier, but Yaziel Orozco has now signed a first team deal. And we talked about Roscoe earlier about in the Portland game and his last game. He's been a pretty good player, and now he will fill up
Yeah.
that supplemental roster spot. So, what are your thoughts about him finally getting a first team contract here?
Yeah, like I said at the start, I really liked what I've seen from him over the last 2 games. It's a very small sample size, but, um, he's been really, really good these last 2 games, and he brings a lot of energy, which is really all you can ask for at the end of the day. So I think for me, I've always been a pretty big not a huge fan, but I've always liked Jaden Reed and kind of what he offers with the attack. But I still do feel like left back is still a position of need in a way, or at least it's a position that City could upgrade at. Um, Especially without Giannis Horn, who was your kind of solidified true like defender at left back, where Jaden Reed can kind of be a liability at times. But Orozco, I think Orozco is a better defender, at least from what I've seen, than Jaden Reed is, and he actually was pretty good on the ball. He's not like a crazy playmaker or anything, and he's not as fast and probably not as good a passer as Jaden Reed is, but he was really good at kind of disrupting plays and winning the ball back too, after City would turn it over, which fits perfectly with the Critchley system. He's definitely a David Critchley type player, so I think obviously we'll have to see, especially with this new lone player coming in at left back. There's going to be a ton of competition there, but I think Orozco has a really good chance of winning the starting job going forward, especially if Critchley's at the helm, because he kind of fits that profile that Critchley, I think, is really looking for out there, and it's shown because he's had a pretty big impact on the last 2 City games. So I'm very excited. I'm glad he got his contract; it was much deserved. I'm glad he's found his spot here. Um, and I wish him the best here with this opportunity because I think there's a really good shot that he ends up being the starting left back going forward.
Yeah, I completely agree. Would you like to move on to our upcoming match week here? Um,
Yeah.
we are playing FC Dallas away, I think. Yeah, in Dallas. So that is on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, of course. So, what are your thoughts about this game? Dallas is not very good either. St. Louis
Mhm.
City's not very good. We're currently sitting 4 points behind them right now. Going into this match week, they are sitting at 22 points. 5 wins, 7 draws, 10 losses. St. Louis City, 4 wins,
Mhm.
6 draws, 12 losses. Um, so going, St. Louis City, of course, we are 3 points ahead of LA Galaxy. who are in 15th place in the West. We are at 14th, and Dallas is 4 points ahead of us. I mean, Dallas has lost 4 out of their past 5 games. They've lost to
Hmm.
LAFC, Minnesota, San Diego, and San Jose. So, I mean, out of those, probably 3 of those teams were actually pretty decent teams. Um, and then, yeah, they did have that draw versus San Jose. And then, I mean, not too crazy from Dallas. They've been pretty ass, actually. So, what are your thoughts about this game here?
Well, I think this is a very winnable game. I do think the city's schedule for the end of this year is l- not super easy, but I think it's a lot more favorable than it was at the start of the season. So I think City has a chance to kind of rattle off some wins here and potentially get some points. And I think this is a great opportunity because, yeah, like you said, this Dallas team is not very good. They're only 4 points ahead of us in the table. So this is, I think, a prime opportunity for City to get some points here. And Dallas is just in a horrific run of form, like you said, 4 L's in their last 5 games, and 0 wins in their last 5 games. So that's absolutely brutal. And I think City should feel relatively, maybe not confident, but I think City is very capable of going to Dallas and winning this game, especially coming off the back of a performance like we just had against a much better team in Portland. I think this a win is definitely realistic here from St. Louis City.
Yeah, I completely agree. We are probably going to get a bolster to our roster here with Baumgartel and Durkin possibly returning.
Hmm.
And then Kessler also might make a return. I'm not really too sure about when he might come back, either this week or next week, possibly Kessler. But yeah, Baumgartel and Durkin, we probably should look out for. They might be making a comeback this week. So yeah, those are 2 very welcome additions to our roster. 2 very good players. But yeah, as you said, the Dallas team is very, very bad. I mean, terrible run of form recently. So I think St. Louis City has some means to capitalize on this, and they should. I mean, we just beat a Portland team that was sitting in 4th. Now they're in 6th. But yeah, we can take the game to Dallas. We can win there. And yeah, that
Mm.
would put us what 3 points behind them if we win. So or 1 point behind them. So I think that'll be a pretty good sense of what this Critchley ball is kind of turning into. If we kind of turn this season around at the end, I mean, I'm not looking for playoffs here. I'm just looking for results in a way.
Mm.
Just something promising for the future next year, something we can build off of. But yeah, it kind of starts here. I mean, we have Dallas upcoming, then Minnesota at home. So yeah, we have Minnesota in St. Louis. We're playing Aston Villa, of course, that Mickey Mouse game on that Wednesday night game. Then we're playing Nashville, Chicago, and Vancouver. I mean, Nashville and Vancouver, I think, are 2 pretty decent sides. So, yeah, we kind of want to go into those games with a good run of form, kind of build off of the previous games, build off our momentum. So, yeah, we can definitely finish the season off strong. We play Houston, Dallas again, Montreal, who are absolute buns, San Jose, and then LAFC, Austin FC, and then
Mhm.
Salt Lake to finish off the season. So, moving on later into the season, I think our matches do get slightly better, but yeah, it all kind of starts from here. We kind of have to, this Critch ball, really has to get built up in a way to kind of get down there.
Yeah, and I think one thing too that is worth noting is that City has or City is not in the Leagues Cup, which starts pretty soon here in about a week and a half. And those games are going to be played like midweek. They won't be doing the break in the season like they've done the last couple of years. So I think that's a huge advantage for City, not having to play those midweek games that most other MLS teams are going to have to be playing. Um, so I think again, this coming stretch is going to be a pretty big opportunity for City to get some points here, and a really big win against Portland. But hopefully that's less of a anomaly, and can maybe start a bigger trend here. And I think we have a chance to do that against a pretty bad team like Dallas.
Yeah, completely agree. To finish it off, do you have a score prediction for this game?
I will go with a. I'll go with a 2-2 draw. I think
2-2 draw.
that Dallas they have been in really bad form, but
They do score.
they've also kind of been and they've also kind of been unlucky with the results. They've lost a lot of one score games. They haven't been like getting blown out of the water or anything. So I don't think they're a completely terrible team by any means. Especially at Dallas, we historically play really terribly on the road. I think I'm gonna go with the 2-2 draw here.
I think this will be a higher scoring game. I think 3-2. 3-2 City win. I think we have the means to push through and get that win. But yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic. 3-2 St. Louis City win at Dallas. So I mean, it'll be a tough game, but I think the Lions have a pretty good shot. I think they have enough um, fight in them to make it into this game and win. But did you have anything else to add in this podcast, in this episode?
No, not really.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, we're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I mean, this season has not been the best, but hopefully we're turning it around. So hopefully come back to you next week with a St. Louis City win. But yeah, hope to see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.